In this review we're looking at a model that's in a familiar green colour. That colour tells you that this machine is from the Sennebogen brand, and the model is an 830E Demolition version. And according to the box, this is edition 2023. On one edge of the box there is some information about the real machine, and if we turn the box around we see that the model is made by Conrad, and it's model 2233.
Let's weigh it up.
The box goes straight onto the Cranes etc. weighbridge, and it's £2 9 ounces, which is 1.17 kilograms. We proceed to open up the box, and the first thing we see is an instruction sheet that we'll look at shortly, and this model comes in nice presentation style packaging with its black foam, and there you can see all of the parts nicely packed. Looking at the instruction sheet, and it covers the assembly and starts with a list of parts, and the sheet tells you how to fit them. Out of the box, the model comes with its counterweight fitted, but it is removable by taking out a couple of steel pins. And when that's done, the model is reduced to its lightest transport configuration. And conveniently, we have a low loader in Sennebogen colours stood by, and the main part of the machine makes a good transport load. The demolition boom is a separate part, and the two long parts can be clipped together for transport. Once that's done, the whole assembly can then be placed onto a supplied bracket, so you then have a stand for the boom, and that can also be used as a transport load. With the machine on site, we can now assemble it ready for work, and the first thing we can do is to extend the track frames. There are then 4 small pieces to fit, but they don't affect the functionality. Next we have a big walkway platform to fit to the side of the cab, and it just presses in, and then we can fit the unsilvered mirror to the grab rail. Next we have some handrails to fit, and they are metal parts that press into holes in the bodywork, with the back section spanning between the sides. It fits okay, but it is easily dislodged. A very nice aspect of the model is that it replicates the real machine, lifting and attaching its own counterweight. And to do that you lower the lifting mechanism and then insert 2 steel pins. The machine then lifts up its counterweight and puts it in position. So you can do this with the model, and you do have to adjust the counterweight to get it to sit flush. The next step is to fit the demolition boom, and you can simulate this process using the model. The top of the boom foot hooks underneath the demolition boom, and then you can raise it to engage, and the final connection is made with a large steel pin. After that you just have to connect up the hydraulics, and you do that by pressing in the hydraulic connection, and with that done the boom is able to be raised. Here we just take it off of the stand, and the other thing we need to do is to detach the transport clip. With that the boom is able to move freely, and we can attach the tool at the end. This is another piece which just hooks on at one side, and we'll show that here, and then we can raise the boom to bring the tool into the correct position. Then it's a job for another steel pin to lock it into place, and then we have a couple of hydraulics connections to make. And for this the soft hoses just press in on either side of the tool.
Let's weigh it up again.
So onto the weighbridge goes the completed model, and it's nearly £1 14 ounces, which happens to be 840 grams. The operators turn the machine over, but at least we get to look at the detail underneath, and as you can see it's all fairly simple. The crawler tracks are metal. The track frames are also fairly simple, but they do have the addition of some step irons in plastic. The cab has got robust plastic protection guards to the front and top, and the platform outside is metal with a nice textured walking surface. Detail inside the cab is very good, and there's a small max cab graphic on the outside. There's a rubberized control band on the elevating mechanism, and the plastic parts here have an excellent colour match. The side of the body has got some very sharp graphics, and the panel handle is also detailed. At the rear, the Sennebogen name is nicely embossed, and the lights look good too. The other side of the body also has nice sharp graphics, and the indication of the grille also looks good. At the front, the metal platform also has a textured surface, and is a fairly crude hydraulics detail on the main lift rams. Looking down into the body, and it has a busy appearance, and there's a good looking bank of soft hydraulic hoses coming up from inside the body. And these run across and up the top side of the boom. There they meet up with an array of plastic hydraulic pipes, and the hydraulics details look pretty good at the knuckle point. The pipes continue on down to the tip of the stick, and that includes hoses running to the attached tool. The supplied tool is a crusher, and it's a mainly metal part. Let's start by looking at the crawler tracks, and they can be rolled, but they are just a little bit sticky. The model rotates nice and smoothly, and moving to the cab, it does have a tilt function, but it doesn't like to stay tilted, at least not when it's in the lowered position. It is an elevating cab, and that does work well because it's able to hold any pose that you set. Strangely, it will hold a tilt when it's up high. With the boom lowered and folded, it's nice and stable, and the hydraulics are stiff enough to hold any pose that you want to set. The boom elevates almost to a vertical position, and you can extend the stick out to get a good reach. And even if you extend it out to a long reach, the model is still stable. Over the side of the tracks it's not quite as stable, but it's still good enough. And if you want to go to a decent high reach, then the model does allow that as well. At the end of the stick, the crusher does rotate fully, and you can also open and close the jaws. There's also a full range of movement of the tool, so if you have a diorama, you should be able to get any look that you want.
Time for a dim check.
With the stick at a reasonable angle, the model is about 16 inches or 42 centimeters tall. This is a good looking demolition model from Conrad. It does have a very nice level of functionality and flexibility, so you can use it in a diorama or as transport loads. It also has a good level of detailing, and of course as a Conrad model it is pretty robust. It is nice to see another demolition model, and this one has enough going for it to be rated as excellent.